Welcome to today's call on increasing student success with career development, and thank you today for coming. The webinar today will be recorded and sent out tomorrow by email, and you'll also have a link in the same location that you'll be able to access, and instead of enter session or join session, it will say view recording. You'll be able to see it there after we've finished today's session. If you have questions, please enter them in the chat window and we can address them during the session or save them for the question and answer period at the end of the webinar. If you want to message myself or Dr. Fralick directly, you can use the questions tab. All right, and today's webinar is brought to you by Human Resources. Human Resources is a worldwide leader in the development and provision of online personal assessments, student success, and education and career development programs. We've also just launched a free resume service, and you can learn more at humanresources.com. And today I'm super pleased to have Dr. Marsha Fralick here to talk about the importance of students making an informed choice of a college major and career, and to review technology and curriculum that can help them make those decisions. Dr. Marsha Fralick has been teaching college success courses for the last 43 years. She's the author of various textbooks on college and career success, including Native American and Hawaiian versions. Her college success program in the San Diego area received many awards from students and faculty and was designated an exemplary program by the California Community Colleges Board of Governors. Research on the program outcomes has shown a 28% increase in retention and an 80% success rate for students enrolled in her program. And with that, I'd like to welcome Marsha to today's call, and I'll put things over to you, Marsha.
Thanks for attending today. I think we have some shared interests in student success and retention. As Tamara said, I've been in the field a long time, and I've always enjoyed working in the field because it helps students to be successful. We have a couple of poll questions out there. We'd like to find out how many of you are teaching career development at the present time, or how many of you are thinking about adding this component to a first-year experience course, or maybe a standalone course. And that would help me to target my discussion today in those areas. So Tamara will pause just a second, and maybe you could explain to people how to do the poll, and we'll give people a minute to do the poll, and that way anyone who's late also can have some time to enter the session.
Absolutely. Just looking at the votes, I think we are almost done, and we are at, we have 20% no and 80% yes for teaching career development. So we have a lot of people teaching career development right now. Quickly show those results. All right. And did we want to start into the next poll? If you don't have career development, sounds like most do, are you considering adding it? And give everybody a minute to respond. And I think we have, I'm not seeing any answers, but I'm thinking that's because we have people who are already teaching it, so.
Okay, that's great to know. It sounds like we have lots of people who have some experience with career development. And as I network with other people, I'm always interested in finding out what other people are doing and finding new ideas. So that's my goal today, is to help you to think about career development, its importance, and maybe get a few new ideas that you could use in your work in career development. The resources that I mentioned today will be posted at my website, collegesuccess1.com. Click on training notes. And at the end of the presentation, I'll put up this URL again, just as a reminder. But you can find the PowerPoint, the research that I reference, a video, some classroom exercises that you can use, and an overview of the curriculum. Here's the key idea. Making an informed choice of a college major helps students stay in college and complete their education. My background is community college, and we have lots of students who drop out of college. And I discovered the way to improve retention is helping students early on to develop a vision for the future. And that vision includes career and lifestyle and income, and that motivates students to stay in college and finish their education. I'd like to talk a little bit about research. I've done research at my college. I have my doctorate degree, so I have a research focus in my materials, and I try to stay up to date on current research to inform practice. So there's been research done over a number of years on career development, and it's important. And these are key findings over a number of years. Career development results in increased retention. College completion rates results in fewer course withdrawals. It improves graduation rates, improves course satisfaction with college as well. And on my resources page, I have a research article that was published in the First Year Experience Journal that summarizes some of this research. One research project I did, I looked at second semester in community college, and I did a telephone survey to try to find out who stayed in college and who dropped out and why. And the most significant question was, what is your major? If students could answer that simple question, they were more likely to be in the group that stayed in college. The group that dropped out of college, they didn't seem to have clear ideas about why they were attending college. They seemed to think that college was important, but they didn't have a clear picture in mind about why they were there. And so when you question that early in college, then you don't have the motivation to stay. So I found also in working with students that not only is career development important, but it's best to include it early in the semester or as one of the first courses that students take in college. So it is integrated into my first year experience course. Our college also offers a standalone career development course. And in our orientation, we emphasize to students how important it is to start thinking about careers and enroll either in the career course or the first year experience course with a strong emphasis in careers. So some of the research at Cuyamaca College. Cuyamaca is a Native American term. It means where the sun meets the earth. We're in San Diego, close to the Mexican border, also close to several Native American Indian reservations. We also have a Native American college within our college. So students enrolled in our first year experience course with a strong career component had an increased fall to spring semester retention rate of 27.6%. And that was when we compared students who took the first year experience courses and those who did not. And I've seen other research at other colleges, and I'm amazed to find that that number is fairly consistent across colleges. Another thing I'm interested in is happiness, life satisfaction. And here's a figure that caught my attention recently. 44% of all college educated job seekers regret their field of study. So you put in all that effort, all that expense, and at the end you say, wow, I wish I'd done a different major. And graduates with good job prospects are more satisfied with their field of study. So helping students become aware of career trends and job prospects are really important. It's not enough to just do the career assessment, but connect the results with actual job openings and understand job outlook and understand job prospects. That would help to increase life satisfaction, satisfaction with college as well. By the way, jump in and ask any questions as I go along. We do have plenty of time to discuss any issues that pique your attention. So just jump in with any questions as we move along. Another question that students are asking is college worth the cost? We know that the cost of attending college is high. Students have huge amounts of debt when they graduate from college. So more and more students are questioning, should I go to college? And so the answer to that is a complex one. We know that economists say that it is an investment that is worth the cost. But I think students need to figure out that from the beginning. So in the beginning, I have figures that show average income with a bachelor's degree compared to a college education. And I also talk about other kinds of options for earnings in the future so that students can weigh that high cost of education versus future benefits and make an informed choice. So again, emphasize we need to help students understand job prospects and earnings early in their college education to improve retention, to improve satisfaction. And I think this is super important. Having a vision for the future provides the motivation to invest in the hard work needed to complete a college education. So if you have that vision in mind, you can tell yourself it's worth the cost. It's worth my hard work, giving up my time to spend in college if I have that vision for the future. So my goal is to help students establish a vision for the future. And this is my game plan. I'm interested in helping students to make an informed choice of a college major. And so these are the different components that I include in my course, either the standalone career course or in my first year experience course. The first one is personality. What are my personal strengths? And I go beyond personal strengths to how to connect those to the job market and actual job openings. I'll show you in a moment how I use technology to do that. What are my vocational interests? What are my multiple intelligences? And I like to use multiple intelligences because they broaden the scope of human potential. So multiple intelligences are defined as whatever is valued by society. It's not a score from an intelligence test. So when we look at that, we can make some easy connection to careers. What are my skills? Do they match my plans for the future? If not, how can I improve my skills? How does learning affect career choice and careers in the future? And I think it's super important for students to look early at what are my values? What's important in my life? So if I'm making a career decision, one of the important components is what is most important in my life? And if I can take that into consideration as I'm making decisions about a career and other important decisions in life, then those will be good decisions. So let me explain a little bit about how I work on these different components for my career development. So here's how it progresses. What are my personal strengths? And that includes multiple intelligences, values, all those things I mentioned in that previous slide. How do I connect my personal strengths to careers? And then take another step. What are actual job openings? How much do they pay? And I'll share with you some classroom handouts and some of the things that I do with my students to help them make a connection between personal strengths, careers, and actual job openings. And what's nice today, I've been working in the field for many, many years, is technology is really helpful today in connecting personal strengths to careers. So I'd like to show you what I'm doing in that area. Here's an example of a personality assessment that I use. And it has a suite of assessments, including personality, multiple intelligences, skills, and learning. And I'm just going to show you the personality type. Years ago, I used Myers-Briggs, and it became very expensive for us, and we're in an very low income area. So I asked our Career Center director, do you know of something that has results comparable to Myers-Briggs but less expensive? And so she introduced me to Human Resources, and I've been working with them for the last probably 25 years at this point. And I like their assessment because it does have results comparable to Myers-Briggs. It's interactive online. It takes advantage of technology. And the personality traits you see are similar to Myers-Briggs, but they are points on a continuum rather than either or. If you worked with Myers-Briggs, you're forced to make a choice, either or. But it's nice to know where you fit on the continuum. This happens to be my personality assessment. I thought I could just show that to you and explain how it works for me, and as an example of how it could work for your students. So all of these are clickable. So for example, what does it mean, introvert versus extrovert? Sometimes students think that being an introvert is not a good thing. And I myself am an introvert, and I find it very good for working and focus and concentration. So the assessment helps me to identify my personal strengths. So as an introvert, I focus attention inward. I enjoy tasks that require concentration. I work best on one project at a time. I work at a careful, steady pace, and I consider things fully before speaking. I always have to rehearse what I'm going to say before I say it. So sometimes I don't say anything at all because someone else has already jumped in. Those of you who are introverts might have experienced that in the past. So it tells you what is the opposite as an extrovert. These are some characteristics. So it helps students, especially if they're on that continuum, to say, okay, I have some parts of me that are introvert, some are extrovert, and it gives them a fuller picture of personal strengths. It's also written in a very positive way. I use positive psychology throughout my materials. And when I work with Human Resources or any publisher, I try to make sure that that focus is there. So it results in a personality profile that's written in a very positive way. Again, this helps students build their self-esteem, and it helps them to think positively about themselves. Sometimes students ask me for a letter of recommendation, and I'll go in and look at their personality results and pick some of these sentences out and put it in their letter of recommendation. When you use Myers-Briggs, it's required that you be certified to administer Myers-Briggs and interpret it. But this assessment is written in a practical, user-friendly way, in a positive way. So it's very user-friendly. You don't have to worry about certification. Students can easily understand the results. So I'll just read the first sentence. I am quiet, realistic, and practical. You communicate in a style that is clear, simple, and direct. And in my materials, I find that's true. What's nice about this assessment is it takes a look at how does your personality type affect learning, how you learn, how you like to learn, how does it affect work and productivity. I'm interested in success on the job. How does it affect communication? So I work with students on communication for success. How does it affect working with others? And what are some career and pathways? I'll just show you one example of work and productivity. So in work and productivity, here are my strengths. I'm logical, I'm a thinking type. I'm efficient, self-reliant, versatile, reliable, decisive, trustworthy. So again, these kinds of adjectives are positive attributes that can help students to think positively about themselves. The assessment also lists some challenges, and I think it's helpful for students to be aware of challenges that they might have. I prefer rules, standards, and structure. I like clear direction, routine, and stability, for example. Working with others, strengths that I have, I'm responsible, loyal, likable, get things done. And again, if I were interviewing for a job, they might say, what are your personal strengths? Okay, here they are. I'm aware of what they are. I can communicate these personal strengths to the employer. What are some of my challenges? I prefer to work alone, although I've learned to work with other people in a group and enjoy doing that. So it's good to be aware of challenges, because I know I have a preference for working alone, but I know that can be a challenge and that could keep me from being successful. So I take that into account in working with others. What I like best is here's the connection between my personal strengths and careers. So if I had taken this assessment when I was 18 years old, I would probably have been an engineer, because that fits my personality type really well. So it does connect my personal strengths with career titles, and I can do research and I can see actual job openings. So for example, if I click on chemical engineer, it would tell me, what does a chemical engineer do? How do the strengths of chemical engineers compare to my personal strengths? What are some educational programs for this major? What are the wages? The wages are $121,000. That would make me happy as a student. What is the career outlook? I think students need to be aware of what the career outlook is, so that when they graduate, they will know, is it going to be easy to find that job or not? And then students can click on this icon for Indeed.com, and it takes them to a page that has actual job openings. So these are job openings in California, in LA, Santa Clara, Long Beach, that's close to where I live. And so one of the assignments I give to students is to summarize their personal strengths. Tell me what careers match. Give me some information about that career, the career outlook, and the earnings. In this way, students are connected from personal strengths to careers to actual job openings. And when we're thinking about vision for the future, this is really valuable. Here's an assignment that I give to students, and I've listed it at my website. You're welcome to use it. It's done with an app called WordCloud, and it's free. So I ask students to take a look at their personality assessment and all those nice positive adjectives, and to put them into wordcloud.com, and you can pick the design and the color that you like, and to make a word cloud summary of your personal strengths. Sometimes students will share these in a group or share them on a discussion board if I'm teaching online. And they often tell me that they take these home and post them on their wall. So it's a good way to think positively about yourself. So one of the assignments I give to students, I have them summarize their personality type. I mentioned this briefly before. Again, it's helping build that vision for the future. So that assignment is posted at my website. Also, you're welcome to use that if you find it helpful, or change it around, because it's in Word format. You can easily customize it to what you're doing. I ask students, first of all, to summarize their personal strengths and to tell me to find one career that matches their personal strengths. Tell me what education is required and what is the salary and the career outlook. So it's a nice guided writing assignment that I think is very helpful for students. It's part of my student learning outcomes, and my course is actually evaluated on this outcome. So that's one of the key assignments in my course. So the assessments in my courses cover personality, and I showed you a demo of that. It also has similar assessments in multiple intelligences, so students can be aware of their multiple intelligences and then connect them to careers. So my results, I'm interested in the environment and nature. My hobby is growing flowers and landscaping. So it refines my career choice a little more. It says maybe you'd be interested in environmental engineering. That sounds very intriguing to me, and I can find information about that. And then how does my personality affect learning? How do my multiple intelligences affect learning? How does that affect my career choice? And then what are my skills? Do they match my goals? What are some areas I might need to improve? What are some areas that are strong at the present time? So I have written a textbook called Career Success, and these are the chapters that I have in the textbook. And I think it's valuable to look at, again, what other people are doing and what kinds of things we're covering in our courses. So the chapters are Create Your Success, Exploring Your Personality and Major, Exploring Your Interests and Values, Exploring Your Multiple Intelligences. This is Key Planning Your Career and Education, and I work with the counseling department and assign students to create an educational plan based on their personal strengths and their career choice. I worked many years as a counselor, and I know that lots of students take extra courses or the wrong courses, and they take longer to graduate than they should because they don't have that career plan. And then typical topics for any career development course is updated job search strategies. And then here's a new one that I've added in the last few years, and that is career satisfaction, how to be happy on the job. So a brief overview of the topics. I think this will help you understand in a broader format what are the things I include here. I like to set the stage by looking at motivation and taking control of your life. So what are the steps in career planning? What's the value of a college education? Again, I think that helps motivation. How to motivate yourself to be successful, how to think positively about the future, taking control of your life. We talk about locus of control, for example, successful beliefs, visualizing your success. Again, what is your vision for the future? And here's a topic that runs through many of my courses, and that is secrets to happiness. So some of the secrets to happiness are finding personal meaning, and I think careers have a great deal to do with that. The next chapter is exploring your personality major. So that's matching your personality type to careers and major. And I showed you the True Talent Personality Assessment that's integrated into my online career materials. So in the online materials, there's an explanation of what personality type is, why it's important, how you can use it, and then the assessment pops up in the textbook. Students complete the assessment right there in that chapter, and then it goes on to majors in future earnings, majors in job satisfaction, and finding your passion. The next chapter is exploring interests and values. You probably recognize some of these topics. Holland's hexagon. I have students go out and complete the ONET interest profiler. Again, that's integrated into the chapter. There's an explanation of what Holland's hexagon is, and then there's a link to go out to the ONET interest profiler. Then we talk about interests and lifestyle, and then I help students to assess values and then explain how values are important in making decisions, and then the importance of acting on those values. And then exploring your multiple intelligences. So this is a new way for me anyway, since I went to college actually in the 60s, and we talked about intelligences as IQ, but I think this is a much better way to address intelligences. And how does your mindset affect intelligence? That growth mindset is important. How about grit and success? We find that grit is actually maybe more important than your supposed intelligence. You can be very talented and intelligent, and grit would help you to apply those intelligences. So what are multiple intelligences? And then that multiple intelligence assessment is integrated into the text at that point. And then we have a section on building on your strengths. Again, connecting your personal strengths to actual job openings. Career planning. As a counselor advisor for over 30 years at the community college, this was critical to what I did as a counselor, and then as a professor, I talk about this and work in partnership with counseling. How is career planning changing depending on your generation? Things have changed over the years. So are you Generation Z, new Generation Alpha? What kind of opportunities does that present? What kind of changes in society are happening at the present time? What are current career trends? And those changed dramatically with the pandemic. So I think any career materials need to be updated as a result of the pandemic. Luckily, my latest version was done after the pandemic, so it includes things like working from home, work skills for the 21st century, and then there's a true talent skills assessment. So taking a look at your skills and how do they fit with your career plans, some suggestions for improving your skills to improve your career prospects, how to do career research, and these online assessments really help with that, how to make a good decision, and then planning your education. And again, our course is evaluated based on students making their educational plans. So when we do program review, we look at our course success. Did they complete that educational plan with an advisor or counselor? These are typical topics covered in any career development course. We encourage students to use career services, talk about opportunities with volunteering, internships. We help them with their resume and their cover letter, establishing your personal brand online, using online tools, the job interview, practice interview questions, looking at some other options like starting your own business, and then finally taking some action. The chapter that I like the most is this one on career satisfaction, because I really think it's important for students to look at what is happiness, what is satisfaction with their life, how to be happy on the job. So sections on finding your passion, finding meaning in work, money and job satisfaction. Some people need money to be satisfied. Others maybe have more other reasons for going to college, like making the world a better place to live in. Predictors of job satisfaction, essential work skills. This is an important one too, emotional intelligence and success. And so when we look at the assessments, they also talk about emotional intelligence when we look at the intelligences assessment. Communication for career success, how to communicate on the job, tips for career success, and what are my lifetime goals, and then making a plan for action. The career development, often students are required to take assessments like the Myers-Briggs or the Strong, and the cost of those assessments alone is more than the cost of career success with these integrated assessments. So one of the things that we're interested in these days is saving money for students, so students don't have to pay for these expensive assessments. They get more expensive all the time. They are integrated into this material. So career development, I have two options. One is career success if you're doing a standalone career course. These are typically 1-unit courses, although I've seen colleges that offer 3-unit courses in this area. And then I also have a first-year experience course that has these career elements built into it. And the career part of it starts in chapter 2. I think it's important to do it early. Chapter 1's on motivation. Chapter 2 starts with career development. I have a video on YouTube if you'd like to take a look at the interactive online program and how it engages students. and how the assessments are integrated. And again, I'll show you a page where you can find all of these links easily, so you don't have to write down this complicated URL here. So the resources I mentioned today, some classroom handouts, some the video that I mentioned. If you'd like to take a look at the PowerPoint, it's all at collegesuccess1.com. So if you're writing down some of these resources, all you really need to write down is collegesuccess1.com. You can find the PowerPoint, my research article, the video, classroom exercises, overview of the curriculum. So if you click on training notes, this is what you'll see, all the resources that I just mentioned to you. You can just click this and see my research article, contact information, collegesuccess1.com. So at this point, I'd like to open up to questions. If anyone has things that they'd like to share about things that are particularly successful when they're teaching career development, because I know we have some experts who are attending this session. So it would be good to share some ideas, or if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to do that. Here in San Diego, we're starting to have a thunderstorm here, so you might hear some thunder in the background. That's very unusual for our area, but we're in the middle of a big storm here.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden very dark and I hear thunder. So anyone have things they'd like to share or questions? And I think at this point, I will go back to our photos online, or our pictures of us. I'm going to end the show here.
Okay.
And so, Tamara, we can see our pictures, right, at this point, since I'm sharing this screen?
Yeah, you can actually just click stop sharing and it'll automatically.
Okay, let me do that.
There we go.
Okay, so it would be great if someone would like to share some things that have worked well for you, or if you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. When you do these presentations, sometimes you think, oh, I'm sitting here talking to myself. So it would be great to hear from some of you. If you have questions, maybe Tamara, you can explain to people how to ask their questions.
Absolutely. There should be a chat window, chat tab that you should be able to see on the left-hand side of your screen. And you can just type any questions you have within that window and we'll be able to see it. So we have a question. Have you seen use of career planning and preparation done well within orientation programs? Great question.
The way I have done this in the past is our orientation is just a couple of hours. And so what we do in those couple of hours is tell people about advising services, how important it is to have an educational plan. If you're not sure what your major is, we have career development courses. We talk to students about our first year experience course, and we really try to do a sales job on that because we know that students are more likely to be successful if they complete that course. And then we actually help students get their first semester plan together. So in a short orientation like that, we don't really have time to go in depth on careers. I know that some colleges have extended orientation. So if you have time, I think it could work to start career development. But I think you would need to take a look at all the objectives you'd like to accomplish, all the curriculum you would like to share with students, and then see how much time you would need in an orientation in order to do that. So I'm wondering out there if anyone does career development in orientation and how much time you spend on that. Can anyone share that?
I know orientation is one of those things that can vary greatly from college and college to college as far as how much time and definitely a lot of variation.
What's good about doing it in orientation is that my research has shown the earlier you do this, the better. And I know that colleges now are going toward pathways. And so I really like the idea of pathways, but I think it's important for students to get on the correct pathway. And that needs to happen very early. So I'm intrigued by the idea of doing it in an orientation. I do think it makes sense as far as what the research says about doing it early, but I think you need to have enough time to do that.
Right. We have a quiet group today, so I think I'll ask you, Dr. Fralick, one of the things I've noticed throughout your curriculum is the assessments and kind of that self-knowledge. And as that relates to career development, was there anything further you'd like to add on why you chose to include that within the curriculum that you've written?
Well, there's several reasons. One is I started because it was not expensive compared to what it's out there in the market. Our college is in a very low income area, and we wanted to emphasize equity. So we're trying to lower the cost for students. And so that's one of the reasons. But if the cost is not very much, but it's not good, then I think you're defeating the purpose. So the cost is reasonable and the materials are quality. And the difference I see between what's typically used and these assessments is the technology part. And I think that's so important. This is really up to date.
Great. Yeah. And as you mentioned too, it's nice that you've updated the material and it's current. We know there's so many changes right now in the job market and what jobs are available and the environment that people are working in. So great. Well, I think I don't see any other questions. So we'll wrap up today's call. And as you leave, you'll see a survey. Please, if you have a few minutes, just fill out that survey. It's only a couple questions. We'd really appreciate the feedback. And thank you so much to Dr. Fralick for her time today and to you for your time as well. We hope that you enjoyed the session and yeah, that's excellent. And we'll send out that recording to you with the resources that Dr. Fralick talked about today as well. So look for that email coming from us in the next day. Thank you so much for attending.
It was great meeting with everyone today. I hope there are some takeaways that you can use, maybe some new ideas to consider. So I'm wishing everyone best of wishes in working with your students. I know we're all here because we want to help students be successful. I know that's been my passion in life. That's made working part of my life mission. And so I know that's why you're in that field as well. So best wishes to everyone. Thanks for attending today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.